Hi, I'm Rabbi Daniel Lappin, and I really appreciate the wonderful questions that so many of you send in to my website. Here is one that really grabbed hold of my heart. My husband was laid off 12 months ago. He has been searching diligently as well as studying fervently in order to get a new job. He recently had an interview for a company that would be the very top of the top in his field. He did extremely well on the interview, but was told a few days later they would not continue. My husband is flabbergasted and devastated. He keeps running over and over the interview, trying to find out where he went wrong. I told him maybe God closed the door with this particular company. He said God doesn't close doors. My question is twofold. How long should he obsess over trying to figure out what he did wrong to not get the job? What would be the better thing for him to do in order to get the most from this experience? And number two, does God indeed open and close doors? I would love to know what ancient Jewish wisdom has to say on this. Thank you. And that's from Paula. Paula, my goodness. Well, first of all I can say is ouch. The pain, particularly for a man, to be out of work for 12 months is indeed devastating. And I just want to clarify there that I didn't say that accidentally. A man's identity as a male is much more tied to his work and his financial productivity than a woman's identity as a female is tied to her financial earning power. There is a difference. And for a man, it is truly rough. And for the wife of a man in that situation, it's incredibly difficult. And so there are a few things we have to talk about in this terribly important question you're asking. And unfortunately, some of what I'm going to say is not going to be immediately satisfying to you. Particularly this, Paula. Paula, you sound like a wonderful wife. You are not the right person to help your husband through this. At least not in terms of career coaching. You say he did a wonderful interview, and I'm sure that's what he feels. I'm sure he thought he did a wonderful interview. But the bottom line is he didn't get the job. Is it because he did not do an interview nearly as well as he thinks? Maybe he has a better view of how he comes across than he really does. But maybe he did do a great interview, but the nephew of the boss was also an applicant for that position. You know, nepotism still works. If you have an inside track, you have an inside track. That's really how things do work. And so obviously dwelling on this interview and mulling it over and going over and over and over it, no, obviously that's not the way to work. But if it was your husband who wrote your question in, I would be talking to him directly, but I'm talking to you, so I have to say, I'm telling you the answer, but you're not the one to tell him these things. You've got to encourage your husband to seek out a male mentor. Does this sound terribly sexist and regressive? Well, unfortunately, the way the world really works is part of ancient Jewish wisdom and part of what the Bible is there for, to teach us how the world really works. And one of the ways the world really works is there actually is a difference between men and women. That's why it says very clearly in Genesis, male and female, he created them. And we guys do much better hearing important advice from other men than we do from women. In this area, in the career area, he has to be able to connect up. It might be a wise pastor, an older friend, a business associate, but somebody, and you can maybe encourage that and stress how important it would be for him to make that connection. It's really very critical. Yes, he's got to move forward. He's got to be able to understand that his focus must be on what he can give, not what he can get. He's got to study a company he applies for, and he's got to find ways in which he can discuss in an interview, ways in which he can add to the value of the position and of the company to which he's applying for a position. Strongly, strongly encouraged. On the question of whether God does open and close doors, of course God closes doors. That's ridiculous. What do you think God did to Adam and Eve when he put them outside the Garden of Eden? I'd call that a pretty, I mean, I can hear that door slam. Or when God said to Moses, in spite of leading the Israelites 40 years through the desert, you're not going into the promised land. That was a door slam. Of course God closes doors for very good reasons, not reasons we always understand or see, but yes, he does. Paula, the only way you can help your husband is by encouraging him to get a strong male mentor and by being his wife, by being his woman, by helping to build up his ego, which takes a tremendous beating from being out of work. I'm Rabbi Daniel Lapin. Thanks for writing in, and I wish you nothing but good times in your finances, in your faith, in your friendships, and in your family.